Let I sub z be the identity function defined on the set of all integers, and suppose that e, b sub I to the j, k of t, and u sub kj all represent integers. Find the following. Now, the most confusing part of this question is just trying to figure out the notation. What's really being asked here? First of all, let's talk about what the identity function is. The identity function, number one, is a function, meaning that there are inputs and there are outputs. If you notice, there's parentheses here, and in the parentheses corresponds to the input of this function. Now, the identity function defined on the set of all the integers represents a function that maps each integer to itself. So, for example, if I plug in any integer into the parentheses here, say 3, then the output is just going to be 3. And we can do this with any integer. What's weird about this, though, is that we're representing integers using these 4 awkward letter things. Now, these 4 elements here actually represent integers. So when we write the letter E, we're really writing out an integer. And so that means Iz of E equals E. Even though we don't know what E is, other than the fact that it's an integer, we do know what the output of this function is because the identity function sends each integer to itself. So the output's not going to be like E plus 1 or E minus 1 or E minus 3. The output of this function is going to be E because the identity function maps each integer to itself. And we can play this game with these 3 integers too. I know it sounds a little weird to call these things integers since they're represented with a bunch of letters and symbols in different places, but we still have to think about each of these inputs inside the parentheses in the same way that we think about this number 3. It's just represented in a different way. So for that reason, if we plug in b sub I to the jk, we're going to get the same exact output as the input, which is b sub I to the jk. And we could do this with this k of t. Even though that looks like the output of a function, it really represents an integer, which means that the output of this function is going to be the same as the input, since this k of t is an integer, just like this number 3. We don't know which integer it is, but that doesn't matter. And lastly, I sub z of u sub kj is going to be u sub kj. Even though we don't know what this is, the notation looks weird, but all 4 of these parts is really just the same as this. Iz of 3 equals 3. That's clear because this is what the identity function is meant to do. The output of the function is the same as the input of this function. But if we represent our integers with all these weird letters and symbols, the function itself stays the same. The output is still the same as the input. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.